All right, what's up, YouTube? So I'm gonna tell you how I got the bag of 27,500 bucks. All right. So I think where do I start? Mm. All right. So COVID hit, obviously, right? Fucked up everybody's career. Before that, I was in the roofing industry, roofing and siding, hail and wind damage, insurance money, right? So I was making big dough, better than the dope game, you know what I'm saying? You guys know about this. We're not going to go into the details of how much money is in this industry if you don't know. If you do know, then you know. So this shit falls out from under me, and I lose the goose that lays golden eggs, right? So I have to reinvent myself, right? So during this time, I end up about like $5,000 in debt with the pawn shop, right? 10%. You know what I'm saying? Is is the rate that I have to pay them. So $5,000, I have to pay them 500 bucks every month in interest until I pay them to get my shit back, right? So I fall into debt, right? So I reinvent myself and I get a job at a warehouse. I've never worked at a warehouse in my life, right? Don't really know shit about it. First time, right? So, and it's a food warehouse. We'll just call it this isn't the name of it, you guys, but we'll just call it Cisco. We'll call it Cisco. So I'm working at Cisco, right? And they hype the situation up in training and all that, and they tell you all this great shit about how this company's gonna have your back and how if you do the right thing by them, they'll do the right thing by you, right? So I'm like, yeah, great, right? So around the same time, um, my brother-in-law died from cancer, and when he was on his deathbed, and I was saying goodbye to him and other things, um, I made a promise that I wasn't going to quit this job and I was going to turn my life around and do the right thing, which I had already been doing, right? I had already been doing that. But I swore I was going to stay on that road and I swore I was going to not quit this job, right? So, and he couldn't even talk at the time, you know what I'm saying? His eyes were open and he was down to his last couple of days, right? It was a cancer that spread from his spine to his lungs to his brain. You know what I'm saying? So, it was his last couple of days. Once it got to his brain, it got him to the point where he couldn't really talk anymore. So I made this promise, right? So I'm working this fucking job, and about a month or two in, I realized this place ain't shit, and I done fucked up making that promise, right? So one day, it's getting to like the end of the day, right? And and I had like lifted a box from up top, and it kind of tweaked my back a little bit. Now I've already had previous back injuries, so I was like, it wasn't something that I was ever gonna try to claim as an injury, right? But so I told them, hey, my back hurts a little bit, right? Because you're supposed to tell them if you ever injure yourself. You're supposed to tell them within 24 hours, so they say. So I'm like, man, my back's a little fucked up. So I go and talk to this guy who's really nothing, right? But he tries to get you to like do all this little physical therapy shit to get you to get your little injury to feel better, right? He's trying to get you to avoid calling a doctor. That's their main goal, is to make sure you don't call a doctor, right? And I'm not even on that though, because I already know my back has like kind of been tweaked a little bit from the past. So, and it's documented. So I'm like, so I go and report the injury. First I talk to him, then I talk to somebody else, and then I talk to somebody else, like two people on the phone, right? When I'm talking to one of the ladies on the phone, she was like basically there to talk me out of not seeing a doctor. And but then she said, well, do you want to see a doctor? Or something to that effect, right? After I had already told her like 3 times, no, 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 because that's what they wanted me to say, right? So I said, well, I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to change my answer from before? Like, I don't really know what you want me to say at this point, lady, right? So we end up getting through the situation. And the next day, I'm working and they call me into the office. And it's 2 of the security guys and the union rep, right? And they call me in the office, and then they call me into like the back room of the office. And I'm like the boot room basically, right? And I'm like, yeah, so I already see what's up. Like they're trying to pull something on me. I'm like, yeah, what's going on, right? And they're like, one of the guys pulls out a recorder. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm going to record this. You don't care if I record this, do you? And I'm like, what, y'all going to try to jump me or something? And I'm just laughing kind of, right? I'm just joking with him, right? But I'm kind of serious too, because I already know that you're trying to intimidate me, right? So I'm like, yeah, what, y'all going to try to jump me or something? And I'm just kind of just laughing about the situation. And because I don't even know what it's going to be, but I know I ain't done shit. And they're like, yeah, you know, yesterday the way you talked to that lady on the phone could be an instant termination. I'm like, what? What do you mean? When? And he's like, yeah, I guess on the phone, you know, they said that you were like rude to her or something. I don't know what he said. Basically that, right? Which I was getting a little irritated with her because my back hurt and they kept basically asking me the same questions over and over. And their whole goal was to get me to not say that I wanted a doctor, to make sure I didn't say I wanted a doctor. It was like all this bullshit to get me from ever seeing a real doctor. Now, if I'm your friend and I care about your well-being and you get injured, first thing I'm going to say is go see a doctor. I'm not going to try and get you to sidestep seeing a doctor if I care about your well-being, right? So I get confronted the next day basically about nothing, right? And being like not polite enough to the lady on the phone, right? The union rep, he's just standing there like a sucker, not doing nothing, right? Not standing up for me or nothing. I'm doing my own thing, right? So I'm like, listen, man. They're like, did you swear at her? I was like, no. I'm like, why are you asking me all this when there's a camera that was recording everything? Why are you asking me what you already know happened? And they're basically they're just trying to get me to lie, right? They're trying to catch me in a lie so they can fire me because I might be injured, right? So I'm like, okay. I said, and they're like, well, yeah, like, I said, yeah, you know, I might have got a little irritated with her because my back hurt. And it was past time to clock out and go home, right? And I was getting paid for it, but still, everybody else was leaving from my shift. And I was still sitting in this uncomfortable chair getting asked these bullshit questions, man. So I was like, listen, man. And they're like, well, yeah, you know, her job's kind of difficult. Their rebuttal was her job is kind of difficult because she's trying to diagnose you over the phone, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That is difficult. That's why I should have just been sent to see a doctor. How it's impossible to diagnose somebody over the phone. And their faces turned red, right? And they're like, fuck, he's like, oh man, like I just flipped it on him, right? So I'm like, yeah, so that's something that shouldn't even be done. Attempting to diagnose somebody over a telephone. It wasn't even a doctor on the other end of the phone. You know? So when I checked them, they're kind of like, damn. And I was like, you know, I kind of like to get back to work. Are we done here? You guys done? I ended the meeting that they called. And I walked away, right? But before this, I said, yeah, don't worry, you guys will never have a problem for me again. Oh, my back is just fine. My back's, there's nothing wrong with my back. Nope, it's fine today. Nothing wrong with it at all. Like, you'll never hear shit out of me again. Cool, cool. All right, I'm out. Right? So I roll out and I'm like, man, I'm not saying shit about no injuries if I get injured, right? So one day I'm busting my ass working too hard, in my opinion. Working too hard, right? And there's a guy that teaches you how to lift boxes when you're getting trained in, right? We'll say his name's like Kurt or something, right? So Kurt comes walking up to scrutinize me, to watch me work and tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm not doing wrong, right? So I got like two things of like orange juice or something, like 6 here, 6 or something. It's like, I don't know what it is, but I got 2 of them I'm carrying. And he's like, oh yeah, hey man, you shouldn't carry those like that because that. And I said, well, should I be carrying more than one at a time? Which the answer is no. And he's like, yeah, but you should stack them up on top of each other so your arms aren't all spaced out. Because if you have them spaced out like that, it'll give you something. It's like it'll end up injuring your shoulder. There was something that he said. Right when that motherfucker said that shit, my shoulder started to hurt. Right when he said that shit. Right when he told me what's going to happen to my arm, I started to feel it. Right? So I'm like, fuck. That's what that is? Now, I had probably felt it before, but I had never really thought about it. I thought that was like just a normal ache and pain, right? Throughout just the day, right? So, all of a sudden, right when that motherfucker said it, man, my shit started hurting, right? Like, it was probably, I don't know, it's just like I just noticed it. Like, he just pointed out something and then once it was in my mind, I just felt it, right? So, I'm like, damn, my shoulder is fucked up. So, and now I know it's not just some normal shit. Whatever he just said has already happened to my arm. So I'm overworking myself, right? Shouldn't even be lifting too. So Kurt goes strolling off and I'm like, fuck. So I keep working because I'm like, I need the money, right? So then I realized this job is like a system. It's like prison, where even if you're doing good, you're going to get rolled up for something. If you don't make your number, which is, let's say, 95, you make like an 88% on your time, they're going to write you up. So what I realized to do, I'm like, fuck it. I know I'm not finna make that 90%. I might as well get 40%. I might as well get 30%. I might as well just take forever because I know I can't make their number. And I'm going to get written up anyway. So why try if I can't make it? So I figured out the whole system, right? So I'm like, promised my brother-in-law I wasn't going to quit. So I'm like, fuck that. I'm trying to get fired, man. People are walking around there. They're like, oh, I'm trying to get hired. And they're busting their ass. I'm like, man, you tripping. I'm trying to get fucking fired from this motherfucker. Like, fuck this job. Like, man, I made this promise, you know what I'm saying, to my brother-in-law. But, man, I fucking hate this job. Like, fuck this. People have gone home and probably killed their wives. Probably fucking committed suicide. Probably done had heart attacks. All type of shit, like, oh, the stress this job puts on you, right? I don't care if it pays $24 an hour. This shit will fucking make you kill yourself, right? One way or another. I actually heard a story about a guy who, like, I guess massacred his wife. Went home, killed his wife. Went to prison. You know what I'm saying? This is a story that, I guess it was like one of the stories going around there. I believe it, right? So I'm just hating this job, but I'm not going to break my promise, right? So, and I need the money. And so I'm not trying to report an injury. They fucked the way they acted before, right? Shit, man, I ain't trying to say nothing. They're already trying to get rid of me, right? But I'm smart. So they pull me in the office one day. They're like, Nick, hey, man, you're not making your numbers right. You're making real low numbers. I said, yeah, man. My shoulder hurts, bro. But I don't want to say nothing about it. Let's just not report. I just want to work. They're like, cool, okay, go back to work. They're dumb as fuck, right? They'll just kill you in there. They don't give a fuck. They're not supposed. I tell you I'm injured and you guys don't report it. You're okay with me not reporting it because I don't want to report it. So about a week or two goes by. No, about a week goes by again. My numbers are still way down, probably like 40%, right? They're like, hey, Nick, your numbers are low, man. What's going on? I'm like, yeah, man. Shoulder hurts, man. I don't want to say nothing about it. I just want to keep working. I need that money, right? I'm like starting to climb out of debt. Paychecks are like $900 a week, $1,000 a week. Starting to climb out of debt, down to maybe like 2,000-3,000 with the pawn shop. I get down to like 3 racks, right? So I'm like, damn. But my collateral's worth like 10 bands or more, so I can't lose it. So I get down to getting my number down with my debt. Then there's a third time that they pull me in the office, and they're like, hey, Nick, man, you're not making your numbers, man. I'm like, hey, my shoulder's fucking, right? So that day they call overtime, right? They send us to the I go from the freezer building to the fresh building where there's like strawberries and produce and all that shit, right? Other shit that's not frozen. They put me in produce, and the order's like 54 boxes of strawberries, right? So I go over there on my little pallet jack, right? Scoot over there on my little pallet jack, stack up. But first it gives me a base layer. So I go get the base layer, and I put that down. And the next one is 54 boxes of strawberries. So I'm like, okay. So I go get all the strawberries. I stack them all up on top, way up, and I go to pull off, and the back corner fucking falls. I'm like, oh shit. It's like 15, 20 boxes of strawberries all over the floor, right? I'm like, fuck, man. It's already overtime. I was supposed to have been gone home. But I don't mind because I'm trying to get the money though, right? So, but it still puts like strain on your relationship and things of that nature, right? Because it's like you're supposed to be home at 11 o'clock. Now you're coming home at like 1, 2 in the morning. It's suspect shit, right? So, working overtime can really be a motherfucker, right? So, I spill all these strawberries on the floor, right? I'm like, oh, fuck. I go back. I go get them all again. Stack them all up again, right? I pull off again, and they all fall again. And I'm like, what the fuck? I go and look, and what's happening is one of the boxes from the base layer is like salad or something crazy where it kept smashing. I didn't notice it, right? So there's like, oh man, there's about $1,000 worth of strawberries scattered all over the floor, right? I'm like, fuck it. I wrap the order, just send it out, man. Send it out all fucked up. Leave everything all fucked up. Then the next day, I reported my injury. So they couldn't confront me about smashing all that shit. And my numbers being low and all that. I just pulled the plug on everything and was like, fuck it, I'm injured, right? So I report my injury. They deny my workman's comp, right? They deny my work comp like some bitches. And I go get a lawyer that got me a settlement for like 50 bands before, right? As soon as they denied my shit, I was like, cool, I ain't even tripping. Called the lawyer, Joe Osterbauer, great lawyer. If you're in Minneapolis and you're injured, and you got injured at work or in a car accident or any type of personal injury, call Joe Osterbauer. He's gotten me 2 settlements, right? They were both for legitimate situations. So I called Joe Osterbauer, and he ends up about 4 or 5 months later, they end up selling out for $27,500. You know what I'm saying? The lawyer got $5,500. I got $22,000. I kept my word to my brother-in-law. You know what I'm saying? I stuck with that job until I just couldn't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? I didn't quit. I didn't even get fired, which I was trying to get fired. You know? And I got blessed in the end for keeping my word. And what's funny is I know my brother-in-law is just laughing at me every day like, you sucker. Like, dog, you can't do this for the rest of your life, man. This ain't it. This ain't it. You know? This ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how I got my last bag. Nothing illegal. You know what I did with it, though? I paid all my debt, bought a few things, and I put the rest of the money on secured credit cards. There's no point in having it in the bank. There's no point in having it in my pocket. I went and loaded up all my secured credit cards. You know? So now my credit is back good again. I had been building it up, but and I'll fuck it up eventually again. But I'm gonna fuck it up this time for millions of dollars. I'm not gonna fuck it up for like 75,000. You know? But it's not my plan to fuck it up either. But something will go wrong in the world. It always does. Look at how shit is, y'all. Nothing's ever stable. No matter how stable you might think you are, some shit's gonna come along. It's gonna rock your whole shit. Make it seem like you're the most irresponsible motherfucker in the world for your whole life. Just know it's coming. You know? So, yeah, that's how I got my last bag. You know, sued the fuck out of that job that tried to fuck me over. You tried to fuck me over, Cisco. Cisco tried to fuck me over, man. I gave it back to him. I jammed that shit down their fucking throat. Pay me, bitch. Bitch. So a lot of y'all are in the same scenario. You're working a dead-end warehouse job that pays you decent. You're injured and you're just taking a loss right now. Then they're going to fire you eventually because they know you're injured and now you're damaged goods. You have up to 180 days to report an injury in the state of Minnesota. Your job will tell you you have 24 hours to report an injury. That's not true. I was given a lot of misinformation by the company in the beginning and throughout the whole process. They gave me a lot of misinformation. And once I realized this job was a system and they systematically fuck you over, I just wasn't with it no more. Once I realized no matter how good I do, no matter how much I try to make my numbers and do right, y'all are gonna fuck me over eventually. Now there were guys that worked there like 10 or 15 years, 20 years. I don't know how. Man, they don't have no life. There ain't no point in living like that, man. I don't care how much money that job paid. That shit was fucking trash. You know? Thank God I got blessed for trying to do the right thing. At least try, y'all. It ain't gonna work out the first few times. But at least try and you'll strike gold eventually. You know? You'll get your blessing if you at least try. Just fucking try to do the right thing. It ain't gonna work out forever, but just try it and see what comes out of it. It's what I did. You know what I'm saying? Never had no fucking dead-end warehouse job before. Shit, man, that shit paid me. You know, I worked there 3 months and made about 30 bands for working 3 months. You know? Yeah, it was still a process. I had to sit broke, go into debt, take out loans during this time, because you can't go and work another job in the middle of a lawsuit where you're saying that you're injured, you can't work. So I had to sit flat on my ass, man. That wasn't a good feeling. The money wasn't free. I had to suffer for it. Don't get it fucked up. You know? Built my credit back up with it. My credit's still not where it needs to be, but it's definitely on its way. All my money sits on secured credit cards instead of in my pocket or in the bank. So I can actually get credit for having money. Simple deal. They give me credit because I have money on these cards. Then other companies give me unsecured credit and I build it up like that. Eventually I take all my money back because I have all their money. You dummy. Learn something, man.